Younger when the NBA regular season ended. Tonight, they will finally name this year's MVP. And Jalen, here's Hembo's question. If James Harden wins that award, he would be the third player to average 35 points in an MVP season. Who were the first two?
I'm a little disappointed in you, Hembo, because as a basketball historian since 1973, there aren't many people that first and foremost get a chance to average 35 points in the league. Okay, so that sounds like James Harden and Michael Jordan and Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain, guys like that. So that makes my answer a lot easier. So that makes it the guy that Greeny knows that I feel like should have his own record book, which is
Wilt Chamberlain
and Michael Jordan.
That's correct. He got it right. He did get it right. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar came very close. Bob McAdoo came very close, but only those two on the screen averaged 35 points in an MVP season. Meanwhile, the free agent who we're all keeping our eyes on as July 1st approaches is a guy who will not play next year, and that's Kevin Durant. He's heard his name connected with Brooklyn, with the Knicks, with the Warriors on a 5-year deal with a promise they'd trade him wherever he wanted to go next year. But none of it really matters until his former teammate Kendrick Perkins weighs in.
I think it's time for KD to move on. It's like I said, it's always going to be Steph's team. I think it's time for him to move on, have his own team, be able to call Kevin Durant team and carry his own team. And actually, he's moving into the East now. So you can move into the East because we don't know what Kawhi's going to do.
Funny you should mention that.
And it could be a strong possibility. You come back healthy, more stronger, and
you're the guy in the East. There you go.
I was fascinated as watching that interview by the way he phrased that. He is going to the East. Not he would be going to the East or he might be going to the East. Kendrick Perkins, who knows KD very well, they're very good friends. And if you didn't see it, he lost his mind that KD played at all in that Game 5. Perk was very upset about it.
Neutral.
He's saying, he's talking about it like it is a done deal that KD is going to East. But do you agree with the premise that he needs to have his own team where he is clearly 1A in order to fulfill whatever it is we're talking about?
I don't necessarily agree with the premise because I talked about a herd mentality, in my opinion, that led to Kevin Durant actually getting injured. If the Golden State Warriors were up 3-1, I don't think he comes back. But because of public pressure and people questioning his manhood and his commitment to the team, I think that forced him back into the lineup, and we know what ended up happening. He got injured. And I know how this works. Kendrick Perkins, who's doing a terrific job with us in his rookie year, is the latest to say it. But we've been talking about this all year, that KD's not only leaving, but he's going to the East. So I still feel like that's going to happen. I still feel like it's going to happen with the Knicks.
You said this to me a year ago, when Swagoo and I first met, about a year ago this time he started coming up here. And here's my response. You said KD needs his own place. Yeah. I feel two ways about that, and I feel two things that contradict that. One of them is I think that the narrative changes based upon what he just did.
Correct.
The fact that he came back and put all this on the line. You're right, he wasn't come back if they're 3-1 up. He came back 3-1 down because he's trying to help them win a championship for them and for himself. So I think if people don't respect that, then you're never going to respect anything about him. Two, if indeed the herd mentality and public pressure sort of convinced him to do something that wasn't in his own best interest, maybe that will be the best opportunity to say, you know what, once and for all, I need to ignore what everyone else thinks and just do what's best for me. And maybe what's best for him is staying on a really good team in Golden State. Just maybe.
When you look at Kevin Durant, all right, and when you think about what he's done in basketball, no one has ever questioned that, right? Coming back from an injury is what superstars do. We understand that as well. I was one that sat here and said he shouldn't have played,
Yes,
period.
you did. You did.
But with that being said, when we talk about Kevin Durant's legacy and his history, when we compare him to, we've had the conversation of Kevin Durant possibly being on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. Name me one player up there that didn't have their own franchise. That somebody says these guys they had their own team, they took their team to championships. Now, from a basketball standpoint, we understand that Golden State Warriors are not who they are without Kevin Durant on the floor. But from a psychological standpoint and where we go after Kevin Durant retires from the NBA, will we ever say that Kevin Durant took his team to a championship?
But as players, you have to be careful with this his team stuff. Because I played against Michael Jordan when he was a member of the Wizards. I played for the Pacers when Larry Bird was the coach and we returned to Boston. I saw Isaiah Thomas end up being an owner and work with the Raptors. So that's just a conversation for public consumption. The reality of it is when he joined the Golden State Warriors, he didn't just become a bandwagon player, a 9th, 10th guy that got a championship because he averaged 5 points. Like, he shot LeBron James down and won back-to-back finals
Jay,
MVP.
that ain't what we saying.
That validated.
Let me ask you a question. You're a Pistons fan. Who team was it?
Isaiah and Joe.
No, it was Isaiah's
It was Isaiah's
The world
team.
will always remember it as Isaiah's team.
Chicago 6 championships, whose team
It
was
was
it?
Michael's, of course.
And
LeBron
Scott.
teams in Cleveland.
Your point is, yeah, we get the point, yeah.
But that's how, my point is, that's how we want to talk about KD. And people get mad at the people like myself that says, well, who do we say that about? How do we say that about KD?
But you ready for this? But here's what ends up happening when you have a level of success. You get a chance to sparse it, meaning I played against Kobe when he won 3 championships playing with Shaq.
Right.
The ones he appreciates the most is the ones without Shaq.
And so maybe that's the perfect...
It's always going to be that.
That might be the perfect place to leave it, that Kobe and Shaq could not coexist because they couldn't make up their mind whose team it was going to be. We'll continue to talk about this, but I got enough stuff to do today. We are